Hello. 1, 2. Okay. Check 1, 2. 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Checking. 1, 2. Check 1, 2, 3. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Nothing. I'll invite the congregation to say
Great.
this.
Oh, I was going to ask you at the end. I left my glasses in the car.
I'll get them for you.
We have time. Do you want us to say this part?
I'm gonna say it.
Just you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I'll just say it if that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when do you want us to come up with?
Happy Mother's Day.
Oh,
Yes,
yes.
yes.
Mother's Day. You know what? Thank you. I wish we could do a dress rehearsal like on Friday or Saturday, so that
Right.
then I could just come in on Sunday and just really like be with people and not feel like, oh, that's good.
Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a line that I heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue, and the dreams that you dare to dream really do come true. Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me. Somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly, birds fly over the rainbow. Why can't I? If happy little bluebirds fly beyond the rainbow, why, oh, why can't I?
Come into our house of hope and love, of peace and justice, of wholeness and healing. Come in where we welcome the certain and the seeking, the lifers and the newcomers, the beloved and the brokenhearted. All of you can find a home here at Throop, where we go love the world from the heart of Pasadena and from the heart of our homes. Hello to all who are joining us this morning by live stream. This month in our worship services, we are naming some of the building blocks, some of the values of our Unitarian Universalist faith. Last week, we talked about our commitment to justice and anti-oppression. Today, we're weaving in some threads around peace. We're also today reminding ourselves that until every person and until really every being has agency over their own body, we will never fully have peace in our world. Please check your order of worship for ways to stay connected this week. And if you're new with us today, we would love to stay in touch. And we have an online guest book, and we invite you to sign that and remain connected. Each one of us is a light in the world, and the flame from our chalice symbolizes and reflects that light.
Our time together in worship is intimately connected with our daily lives. As a symbol of that connection, we light our chalice with love, compassion, and justice. With these words from the Unitarian Universalist side of With Love campaign. Our faith affirms that all our bodies are sacred and that we are each endowed with the gifts of agency and conscience. Each of us should have the power to decide what does and what does not happen to our bodies at every moment of our lives, because consent and bodily autonomy are holy. And when disparities in resources or freedoms make it difficult for certain groups of people to exercise autonomy over their own bodies, our faith compels us to take liberatory action. We light a second candle to honor the people and ancestors whose lands we now occupy. The land under and around Throop was once, and still is, the home of the Gabrielino Tongva Band of Mission Indian people. May this knowledge and awareness lead us into seeking justice and equity for all. We light a third candle, symbolizing our watershed, the Arroyo Seco. May their waters continue to nourish life in our communities. We take a moment of silence, holding all of these in our hearts.
My life flows on in endless song above earth's lamentation. I hear the real, though far of him that hails a new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ringing. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? But though the tempest round me roars, I know the truth, it liveth. What though the darkness round me close, songs in the night it giveth. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. Since love prevails in heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing?
Take a moment, turn gently to your neighbor, and welcome them into Sunday worship.
When tyrants tremble as they hear cell or dungeon vile, our thoughts to them are winging. When friends by shame are undefiled, how can I keep from singing?
And one thing we are singing about this morning is we have some of the brilliant lacrosse players in the third and fourth pew here in our sanctuary. Congratulations on a tournament well played. And this month in particular, we have been singing about how Throop brings greater meaning in all of our lives. And we've had the benefit of hearing from some of our Throop members about why they support this religious community. And today we turn to Jamal Carver, who will share a bit of his stewardship story with us.
Good morning, everyone. As Reverend Tara mentioned, my name is Jamal Carver. I've been a Throop member since maybe 2019, late 2019, early 2020. I was first drawn to Throop mainly because the garden outside, it's wonderful. I missed it since I moved down from the Bay Area, and I didn't have any opportunity to do so when I was living in Claremont. So when I moved out here, that was kind of one of the main things that drew me in. Secondarily, the people have been great. Friendships, with a number of folks, and I've enjoyed every interaction with every person I've come into contact here. Let's think. I guess my spiritual life began as a Unitarian, maybe 2017. I'd kind of fallen out of favor with organized religion for a number of years, and something just kind of drew me back to it. And so when I was living up in the Bay Area, I started attending one of the churches in San Mateo County, left and then came down here and then started in Montclair and then moved on to here where I've settled in the last 3 years, excuse me. And then the reason I give is because it allows me to support the projects and the community around here. I'm active in the garden, as I mentioned. I'm also a member of a number of committees within the church as well, and I feel that giving helps sustain the church, helps sustain the community, and helps us continue to grow as a community. And so I'm a pledging member because I believe in the power of the community here, and because we understand that pledging not only deepens our connection here at Throop, but it also allows us to participate in making all this possible. Just as important, our pledge also helps the board budget committee predict what financial resources we'll have available for the upcoming year, and which begins in a couple months. This week, current members will be receiving our formal request in the mail. I believe that's already gone out, and I think the date to return that was today, if I recall correctly. So if you haven't done so, please fill out your pledge card and do so. You can do it through mail, drop it off, or you could also do it online. The pledge card has a little QR code that you can it'll take you directly to the website. So please do that if you haven't had the opportunity to do so. So remember, Throop is a do-it-yourself proposition. We hope you'll give generously, and if you'd like to become a new member through pledging, be sure to speak with Reverend Tara, and thank you all.
Thank you. In 1870, Julia Ward Howe, Unitarian suffragette peace activist, wrote a Mother's Day proclamation for peace. She did so in response to the Prussian-Franco War, and she held a vision of creating a women's peace movement dedicated to ending all war. And part of this vision included a festival that would be held in cities and towns all over the world, dedicated to the advocacy of peace doctrines. Howe organized these peace conferences, and some American states even did organize their own Mother's Day festivals. Somehow, her original vision of proclaiming a day of peace, somehow it morphed into the American celebration of Mother's Day, which seems to be about love, which is amazing and awesome, and about brunch, which is equally amazing and awesome, and this very elusive day of rest for people who identify as moms. Like, if anyone's ever gotten that day, I want to know how you did it. But today at Throop, we do indeed say Happy Mother's Day to all who celebrate. Happy Mother's Day to all of you who nurture life in this world, whether or not you identify as a mom. And then we also remind ourselves of this original intent by Julia Ward Howe. And today, Bella Camfield will share those words.
Arise, all women who have hearts, whether your baptism be that of water or of tears. Say firmly, we will not have great questions decided by irrelevant agencies. Our husbands shall not come to us reeking with carnage for caresses and applause. Our sons shall not be taken from us to unlearn all that we have been able to teach them of charity, mercy, and patience. We women of one country will be too tender of those of another country to allow our sons to be trained to injure theirs. From the bosom of the devastated earth, a voice goes up with our own. It says, disarm, disarm. The sword is not the balance of justice. Blood does not wipe out dishonor, nor violence indicate possession. As men have often forsaken the plow and the anvil at the summons of war, let women now leave all that may be left of home for a great and earnest day of council. Let them meet first as women to bewail and commemorate the dead. Let them then solemnly take counsel with each other as to the means whereby the great human family can live in peace, each learning after his own time the sacred impress, not of Caesar, but of God. In the name of womanhood and of humanity, I earnestly ask that a General Congress of Women without limit of nationality may be appointed and held at some place deemed most convenient and at the earliest period consistent with its objects, to promote the alliance of the different nationalities, the amicable settlement of international questions, the great and general interests of peace.
Thank you. And we are inheritors of that big vision. We hold the values of peace, love, justice, and compassion, and all of the ways you support this community help us take that message out into the world. For those of you that are able to support Throop through a financial contribution, we appreciate that so much. You can give online. Those ways are in the order of worship. And if you're in the room with us, you can make a donation in the offering plates that are about to come down the aisle. Thank you so much for all the ways you support our life together. The morning offering will now be gratefully received.
Peace, the perfect word, is sounding like a universal hymn under oceans, over mountains, to the world's remotest rim. All the hopes of subject peoples, all the dreams of the oppressed, must be ours, our hopes, our visions. We can never stay or rest.
So I invite you to take a breath in together and exhale, holding a sense of gratitude for this community, whether you've been a part of it for decades or whether you've found us today for the first time. And as we hold that sense of gratitude for our Throop community life, I invite you to share the response to our offering, and those words are in the order of worship. For the ministries of the church and our community, we bless our offering with love and hope. And take another gentle breath in and exhale, holding gratitude for the day we awaken to, gratitude for this earth which holds us and provides for us. And in that spirit of gratitude, we share together the words for our promise to our planet. As members of the family of living beings on earth, we are guided by the Unitarian Universalist principle of respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. With hearts filled with love for it, eyes nurtured by its beauty, and minds ruminating on ways to protect its sacred and scarce resources, we promise to nurture the well-being of all life and of the planet itself. This past Monday and Tuesday, and really the rest of the week, there were a number of us who were startled and alarmed, dismayed, and outraged by the leaked document by the Supreme Court regarding Roe versus Wade. This morning, we're sharing a confessional written by my friend and colleague, Rabbi Zoe Klein Miles. She wrote it in response to that leaked document. Her words have been adapted slightly as we acknowledge that some people of all genders, women, men, and non-binary or gender non-conforming people, can get pregnant. And as we offer this confessional, there'll be moments where the congregation can respond with the words, "For the sin we have sinned against you. For the sin we have sinned against you." And that phrase is written and offered in the spirit of our faith siblings in the Jewish community. And when they talk about sin, it's about a break in relationship with God, or what they name as sacred, or even a break in relationship with their own most deeply held values. And that's a spirit in which we use that word today. And so, al chek shechetanu lefaneka, for the sin we have sinned against you.
The woman with kidney disease, whose doctors say her pregnancy is life-threatening. The woman who has high blood pressure, whose doctors say her pregnancy may kill her. The woman with clinical depression and suicidal ideation, who is criminalized for saving herself. The person who doesn't know for months that they are pregnant because of heavy spotting. The woman who doesn't know for months that she is pregnant because of an irregular period. The girl who doesn't know for months that she is pregnant because she has only just started puberty.
For the sin we have sinned against you.
The woman suffering an ectopic pregnancy who is called murderer on her way to her appointment. The parents who are told their baby will be born with anencephaly without a brain and are called murderers. The woman who is told there is no heartbeat and is called murderer on her way to the clinic. The woman who miscarries and is criminalized because she cannot prove it was natural. The parent who is told that if born, their baby will live in excruciating pain and won't survive past infancy. The girl who is ostracized, shamed, and criminalized, while he who impregnates her is free.
Al chek sheketanu lafaneka, for the sin we have sinned against you.
The family who doesn't have health insurance and barely survives paycheck to paycheck. The person living in a rural, remote town who cannot afford transportation, hotel, and time off for a procedure. The partner who loses their job for taking the days needed to travel over state lines for their spouse's care. The children who are not taught sex education and are not given access to birth control. The families who are not given paid parental leave or affordable childcare. The woman who religiously took birth control to prevent pregnancy, but the birth control failed.
Al chek shechetanu lefaneka, for the sin we have sinned against you.
The person who is a victim of reproductive coercion by a domestic abuser. The woman who is impregnated as a victim of sex trafficking. The girl who is impregnated through sexual violence and then re-traumatized by the court. The girl who is overpowered by a relative or person of authority. The woman of color who faces racial and ethnic disparity in medicine and less access to quality contraceptive services. The Ukrainian woman refugee who was raped by the same Russian soldier who murdered her children.
Al chek shechetanu lefaneka, for the sins we have sinned against you.
The parent who is imprisoned for acquiring misoprostol to end their teenager's traumatic pregnancy. The woman who is imprisoned for having an abortion in order to better feed and care for her children. The woman who is imprisoned for terminating a pregnancy that was not conceived in love. The daughter who suffers long-term agony from terminating her pregnancy at the hands of untrained individuals in unhygienic environments, including vaginal and rectal tearing, future infertility, uterine perforations, hemorrhage, sepsis, blunt trauma, poisoning, and ruptured bowel. The daughter who is too scared to ask for help and dies of torturous infection and blood loss from the rusty tools of a medical charlatan. The daughter who doesn't have any reason to trust lawmakers and adults and suffers excruciating, unnecessary death.
Al chek shechetanu lefaneka, for the sin we have sinned against you. For all of our failures to protect you, our daughters, mothers, partners, friends, don't forgive us, don't pardon us, don't lead us to atonement. For all that we have just named, we shed collective tears. For all the private grief we may hold in our hearts, we shed collective tears. And as a way to hold those emotions as a community, we offer a ritual of loss, grief, and disappointment. We have a bowl of salt on the altar table. And as your heart and body feel moved to do, we invite you to come forward and put some of the salt in the water, symbolizing whatever that loss or disappointment or grief is that you carry in your own heart. And as you pour some of the salt in the water, let that be a physical expression of you being able to let a little bit of it go and honor it at the same time.
I am worn, I am tired, in my quiet sorrow. Hopelessness will not let me be. Help me. won't speak of this ache. Inside light eludes me. In the silence of my heart, I'm praying. I keep on, day by day, trusting light will guide me. Will you be with me through this time, holding me? You're my hope when I feel holding on, believing. Deep inside, I pray I'm strong. Blessed, blessed be.
All of your bodies are sacred. May each of you know peace and healing. Last Tuesday evening, as many of us gathered, our sorrow was anything but quiet. We gathered in as single people, as couples, as friends, as entire family units. We gathered in front of the Pasadena courthouse, and we came together in response to that leaked document regarding Roe versus Wade. There we were all ages, all ethnicities, all religious backgrounds, all abilities, and we were united there in our pink t-shirts and our Planned Parenthood signs, proclaiming things like, Keep abortion safe and legal. My body, my choice. Kind of milled around, unsure at first what we were supposed to do. No leader had arrived yet, but as you can imagine, good-hearted people took things into our own hands and started raising our signs up in the air, laughing, a little dazed by what had happened, but also feeling connected. And as cars passed by, each honk, each wave, each smile, and there were a lot of them, filled us with affirmation that we were not feeling all of these things all alone. About 10 of us from Throop were there in a crowd of around 100. Rachel brought Ripley, Megan, and Kelly brought their 2 daughters, 2 and 4 years old, and each of those little tiny girls had their own tiny them-sized sign that they waved up in the crowd. And as I looked at the 2 and 4-year-old that late afternoon, I was reminded of another corner. I was reminded of another courthouse. I was reminded of another decade. It was around 1996. My son Adrian was 2 years old, and we attended a rally in Fayetteville, Arkansas, honoring the anniversary of Roe versus Wade, affirming the sacred, holy choice that each person should be able to make about when, how, and if to bring life into the world. Like so many of you in this room, abortion rights is very personal to me. There are so many decisions you've made in your life that have brought you into this current moment. Decisions that brought you into this pew, into this community, into this greater Los Angeles area, into your circle of care of friends, into a family that you have either made or claimed. And I am where I am today, serving as your pastor, mom of a young adult son. That little 2-year-old boy is now 28 years old. How did that happen? Pursuing my doctor of ministry, feeling grateful for each and every day of a rich and full life. And I am able to be here in this moment today because I had access to a safe, legal, and affordable abortion in 1992. I don't know how life would have turned out had I been forced by our government to have a baby at 19 before I was ready. I do know that being able to choose motherhood at a time when I had emotional capacity for it, at a time when I was more or less able to tend to myself so I could actively tend to another being, another life, and still pursue my educational goals, that was everything. Ms. Magazine reports that women with access to abortion experience better physical health outcomes, stronger financial and professional stability, more successful romantic relationships when compared to those who were denied an abortion. 99% of women who received an abortion thought that decision was the right one, even when asked about it 5 years later. I have always known that my choice was the right choice, even though my cultural context was one that did everything it could to shame me for that choice. For decades, probably longer than decades, it seems like this word is one that we want to quietly tuck away in a back pocket and only pull it out in certain company when we feel absolutely safe to do so. And when we know that the person we share that information with won't respond and try to shame us or use it against us in a moment of manipulation. It's been said in a stage whisper or vaguely alluded to, and I've spoken to so many women who have shared their experience but haven't felt comfortable sharing it more broadly because they're just not sure what people's reaction will be to that. And if my mom were still alive today, I had to think long and hard about whether or not I would be able to offer this reflection, knowing that if she were alive, she would probably be watching on the live stream today. And I don't know that I would have been that courageous. But if we really want to honor mothers, if we want to honor women, if we want to honor people of all genders who can get pregnant, then we need to understand abortion as just one component of comprehensive health care. If we are serious about dismantling systems of white supremacy culture, that system that Greg Klein talked about last week, then we need to ensure abortion access for all. Abortion bans and restrictions disproportionately harm Black and brown people who already face additional barriers to accessing health care. We need to ensure that people living on lower incomes, teenagers, undocumented people who cannot risk traveling past checkpoints, that they all have access to comprehensive health care. At last Tuesday's rally, I looked at those 3 girls from Throop, the 2 little ones, and Ripley, who's probably ready to be church president in a year or 2, maybe tomorrow. Maureen, watch out, she's coming for you. I looked at them holding their signs so proudly right next to their parents, and I wondered, how in the world is it that I have spent 4 decades of my life, truly all of my adult life, in front of courthouses, advocating for a person's choice about how, if, and when to become a parent? Are we really still talking about this? I mean, come on, people. And my hope is that in 4 decades, that Ripley and our lacrosse team here and those other 2 little girls, they'll be doing their own advocating in front of courthouses, but please, for the love of all that is holy, let it be for a different issue once and for all. The salt water we created together symbolized our collective tears. Salt also purifies, cleanses, and neutralizes. We have aloe plants on our altar table, and you know aloe has healing properties. It's one of the few plants that can accept salt water. So in just a few moments, Rachel will pour some of our collective salt water into the aloe, symbolizing that one act of healing we can all take part in, and we can do it starting right now in this moment, is to destigmatize abortion and to normalize it as just another essential part of healthcare. As Rachel pours in water after I say a phrase, I invite the congregation to respond with, "All bodies are sacred. May our bodies know peace and healing." Let's try it together. All bodies are sacred. May our bodies know peace and healing. Our faith affirms that all our bodies are sacred. All bodies are sacred. May our bodies know peace and healing. We are each endowed with gifts of agency and conscience. All bodies are sacred. May our bodies know peace and healing. Access to safe abortion is a human right. All bodies are sacred. May our bodies know peace and healing. Consent and reproductive autonomy are sacred and holy. All bodies are sacred. May our bodies know peace and healing. And finally, people have a lot of reasons for choosing abortion, and all of those reasons are valid. All our bodies are sacred. May our bodies know peace and healing. And may you, friends, know peace and healing in every aspect of your lives. May you remember that you are not in this world alone. We are together. And we as Throop go out and love the world, bringing our message of hope, love, and compassion for all who need to hear it. And our closing hymn is Of Every Woman in the World, number 1026, and feel free to hum along or sing in your mind and heart to yourself.
If every woman in the world had her mind set on freedom, if every woman in the world dreamed a sweet dream of peace, if every woman of every nation, young and old, each generation, held her hands out in the name of love, there would be no more war. If every man in the world had his mind set on freedom, if every brother stood with brother as a witness for peace, if every man of every nation, young and old, each generation, held his hands out in the name of love, there would be no more war. If every leader in the world shared a vision of freedom, if every leader in the world shared a sweet dream of peace, if every leader of every nation walked in justice and liberation, holding hands out in the name of love, there would be no more war. If every nation in the world set a true cause for freedom, if every nation raised its children in a culture of peace, if all our sons and all our daughters stood friendship across the waters, refusing to be enemies, there would be no more war.
Our chalice is extinguished. We take its light with us. Reach your hand out to the live stream, to someone in the room. Put a hand on your heart and send out your own sense of love, compassion, agency, justice. Know that your body is sacred. May you know healing and peace. I love you all. Go out and love the world. Amen and blessed be.
wake up in the morning, love. Sunlight hurts my eyes. Something without warning, love, bears heavy on my mind. Then I look at you, and the world's alright with me. Just one look at you, and I know it's gonna be a lovely day. A lovely day. When the day that lies ahead of me seems impossible to face, when there's someone else instead of me, always seems another way. Then I look at you, and the world's alright with me. Just one look at you,